Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Vocal Arts. I am here with a very special guest. This is Lucie Burns. Lucie, please give a little elevator pitch as to who you are and what you do.
My name is Lucie Burns, and I'm the author of The Art of Live Performance Unlocked, and I'm a performance psychology coach. So I work with artists in getting them prepared for stage, but I work more on just the kind of getting them up for the performance and a lot on the mindset. So sort of what goes on before the performance, leading up to the performance, helping them to feel confident in themselves, helping them to feel more grounded, being more in touch with their authenticity. And I'm also a music producer and songwriter and artist called Lazy Hammock. And I'm sort of quite well known in the sort of chill out arena, chill out electronica. So that's the other side. And so, yeah, so those two things really sort of work alongside each other.
Fantastic. Let's go ahead and dive into your book. I feel like that's the core of what I would like to talk to you about today is,
Sure.
how you help musicians and performers get ready, because that is
Yeah,
such a big component is getting your mindset ready. You can be prepared physically or you can be prepared with the music, but if you don't feel like you're ready to get on stage and do it, you can run into so many problems. So let's talk about your book.
absolutely.
Give me a little rundown about your book, and then we'll go through some of the main points.
Yeah, sure. So the art of live performance, we talk about it has 7 keys to unlock that kind of live performer. Talking right from identifying your performer pressure points, right through mastering your mindset, celebrating your individuality, going through and being a pro confident performer, how to be that. So it kind of walks through all the steps that you need to be a performer. And the way that I came to this was because I have performed for over 25 years myself, but I've also taught for over 25 years. And so I've learnt so much from the performers that I've been teaching, but I also knew firsthand what it was like to get on stage and realize that, oh, okay, well, I knew my song. I knew how to play my song. I'm on stage, but I am really, really nervous. And sort of my first ever performance in public, my legs started really shaking and I couldn't understand what was happening because I wasn't in control of my body and I just didn't understand it. But the thing is, after all these years, I've realized that it's the mindset. And what I've tried to do is distill all the information that I know about performing myself and all the information that I've been teaching my students for the last 25 years and all they've taught me as well. And I've come up with a lot of original sort of techniques as well, how to work with artists, how to get them to feel more confident. And so that's really what the book's about, helping them overcome stage fright, performance anxiety. But it's not just for performers who have that. It's also for performers who want to take their work to the next level, who want to actually say, okay, I'm used to performing. I'm pretty confident, but actually I know that I could be better. How do we get to the next stage? Really engaging with your audience, all of those things, how to talk in between songs. So many things.
Does the book work in kind of a stacking way where the like rule one or point one of the book can really apply to everybody, and then it kind of gets more advanced as you go through to where the end of the book is for those more advanced performers?
It doesn't really work like that. What it does is because there's so much in each key that it really depends what it is that is your difficulty with performing. So someone might be a seasoned performer, but they just might find talking in between songs really difficult. Now, someone else might be really confident at talking in between songs, but they can't engage with their audience, look in their eyes or have open body language. And so the thing is, I didn't want to do it so people felt, oh, just this part of the book's for me. In a way, it's great because you can dive in anywhere in the book. There's over 100 topics. It even covers, alcohol for confidence and things like that. Why do people drink for confidence? It covers so many things, all the things really that I could really think about of overworking as a performance coach for all these years. And it really means that people can tap in any part of the book they want, go to the contents, look at the section or look at the page number and go, oh, that's what I need. Or that's what I need before this gig this week. Or that's what I need. Or this is what I need to do longer term. So as I said, it works up in terms of It starts with identifying your performer pressure points and artist trigger environments, and then goes to master your mindset, and then celebrating your individuality, breaking through barriers between you and your audience. So it works up like that. But there's all different things in there that some people may connect with, and some people might think, oh, I don't need that.
So there's really something for everybody.
I would say that for most performers, you will get something from this book. Absolutely. Yes.
Very cool. And what do you find with all your experiences are the most common performer pressure points that people run into?
So the performer pressure points that most people run into: self-doubt, lack of audience connection, or not really knowing how to engage with their audience, speaking in between songs, moving on stage. In terms of themselves, it would be things like perfectionism, comparison to others, self-judgment, worrying about audience judgment. So a lot of that focus on what builds up the performance anxiety.
It's such a difficult industry to navigate from that side, especially nowadays, because there's so many numbers and statistics and analytics, and it's so easy to start attaching yourself just to the numbers and thinking, well, oh, this person over here has more monthly listeners on Spotify, so they're better than me. Yeah. And I personally see that with tons of colleagues, and even struggle with that with myself sometimes.
Yes.
It's a really difficult industry, and I'm actually curious, if you've been doing this for 25 years at this point, how that aspect has shifted all these things that we're talking about with the rise of social media and the rise of all these analytics.
Well, it shifted massively because when I started, there wasn't social media. So everyone had a different kind of starting point, and we all accepted our own starting point. Whereas what happens now is we look at other people and we believe we're all at the same starting point, but some people are further on than us. And it's not like that. We're still at a different starting point, all of us. And some people have focused more on one section of their career and some on others. For example, even me, it's like I've been so busy teaching and coaching for all these years. I would say that I'm a little bit behind on the social media side of things because I've gone, teach. And because I've been in that mindset of being there before social media, you could look at some of my numbers on social media and think, oh, they're not in the hundreds, thousands or millions. But it's like, I just think, yeah, but I wrote 11 albums and produced them and I wrote all of them, sang them, produced them, did all of that in those sort of last 10, 15 years. I taught thousands of students. Now I'm bringing all my knowledge together, putting it out there on social media, writing my book, doing that. Because what I'm finding with a lot of people now is that they're so desperate to get on social media, and I can understand why, because these days it's like you're not really seen unless you're on social media. So of course, yes, we get on social media, but when we get on social media, we have to be able to offer something. What is it that we're offering our audience? Because there's many people out there that I see who actually don't really have something solid there when you dig below the surface. And so it's like, okay, what is it that you're going to do alongside to build yourself up as an artist, to build yourself up within your career, to then be able to offer something to other people, whatever that is. And I think that is important. And I think that the problem is now is we're spending a lot of time. We write from a position of, say, for example, we're songwriters or you're a musician. These days we write for the audience. And when I say the audience, I'm talking about the numbers rather than from our heart. And I'm not saying that's everyone, but it's like, what's going to catch on? What can I write to make this catch on? What's going to go down well on TikTok? What's going to look great on Instagram? Now, of course, there's a place for that. There has to be, that we have a balance. But if it is just that, what's coming from us? What's coming from our heart? What's coming from the love of our craft? What is it that we're developing about our craft rather than developing about marketing? Now, there is the balance, as I say. We have to be able to be balanced. And as I say, I've been one way balanced more than the other. And other people are more the social media balanced than the other. And other people are very balanced. And that's fine. And we just have to look at, okay, what is it that I need to work on to kind of bring myself up in different areas, because I don't think there's a right or a wrong, but we have to really take into consideration that we have to look at ourselves as artists and say, what is it that I need to do that is going to make things better for myself, but also for my audience and my craft. Those three things must work in tandem. Same when you're on stage, your audience, yourself, and your music. Those three must work in tandem. So I think that the problem with social media and comparison to others, because I do a lot of work with comparison to others, and because so many people are focused on that, is that it takes you away from your natural focus of your craft. And we're so busy looking at what other people are doing that energy that we spend could be spent on working on ourselves or our craft. And one time I was delivering a masterclass, and one of the students said to me, the thing is, I'm looking at social media a lot, and there's this artist on Instagram, and they can play 3 instruments and I can only play 1, and it just makes me lose my confidence because I don't think that I'm good enough. And I said, if you spent all that time that you watch this artist on learning another instrument, you'd be able to play 3 as well. And she was like, oh gosh, I didn't think of it like that. And it is hard, it's very hard. But I think you have to look at, what is it you want to do? What is the end result you want? I know when I was writing my albums, for those sort of 10 to 12 years, I said, right, I want to either produce an album every year or an EP or whatever, and that's going out. So my focus was just on producing my albums. And I did that. However, social media crept in more towards the end of that, but it wasn't really there at the beginning. So it was easier for me to focus and not be distracted. So I'm very in tune with how people are so distracted now. But even if you can do something like, say, right, I'm not going to look at my phone till 11 or 12 o'clock or 10 o'clock or whatever, and I'm going to get in a bit of a deep flow with my music. Now, that could be 10 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock at night. And, we all work at different times, yeah?
Sure.
So it can be, it might be that actually I do all my admin in the morning and I don't get to the other stuff until later. And that's fine. I like writing your music. But it's really important to carve out time for your craft, because a lot of people, they say, I'm a singer, I'm a songwriter, I'm a musician, because it's quite easy to say, but it's not easy to be. And so to be that, how are you prioritizing your craft? What is it that you are doing and setting aside for yourself? So actually you really are tapping into that creative within.
Yeah. Have you read the book called Deep Work by Cal Newport?
I've read a bit of it and I've heard of it and I've read some of it, but I haven't read the whole book. No.
I think you would love it. It is all about setting aside very deliberate time to get into those deep flow states, because your productivity basically goes up almost exponentially, as you get into those states. It's like
absolutely.
If you're working and your phone's right there, even if you're not using it, there's like an element of distraction because the potential to get a notification or whatever is right there. As if it's turned off in another room, it is truly out of the way and out of your mind, so you can really get focused on something.
I totally agree. And I used to always work, I still do work when I was writing my book that was just published in November. My phone is never near me. When I write music, when I write my words, whatever I write, my phone is never ever near me, because I know that just that, it's funny, I don't even feel some sort of energy or something from the phone. I do feel it. And it's like, I cannot have it near me if I want to concentrate. And what you're saying about the book, is very, very true. To be able to get into that deep space, it's like, swimming on the surface of the sea. You're sort of, it's very choppy, it's very wavy. And once you get below that, you literally, it's quiet. You feel things. You sometimes, I mean, it depends what you believe in or whatever, but I actually feel that I connect more. I connect more on, for me, a spiritual sense, and I actually you know feel that I it's not that I get a message or something, but I feel, right, I'll do this next or I'll do that next. It's like I can kind of hear the direction of where I need to go or feel the direction, which I just can't if I've got the phone on or
Hmm.
the TV on or something.
Hmm.
You just can't get in that state.
I love that metaphor of riding on a choppy ocean. That's
Choppy,
the
yeah.
equivalent of having a phone out and you
Yeah.
put it away for long enough. And you're right, because no matter how crazy the storm is on an ocean, if you go down a certain amount,
It's
it's
calm.
totally calm.
It's calm.
100% calm. It could be the worst
Yeah.
storm in the world, but you go down 100 feet, 200 feet. I'm
Yeah.
I'm not an ocean specialist, but at some point it will be calm, and that is just, yeah, relative to how deep you go into that flow state.
Yes. Yeah. And it's such a beautiful place to be. It really is. And I find, for me, I can only truly get there when I'm in solitude. I find
Hmm.
it hard if there's another person even in the house, to be
Hmm.
honest with you.
Hmm.
I like it when it's really, really quiet. I'm the only person there, and I can just get into that zone. And that zone is a place where my creativity just flourishes.
I'm the same way. I mean, this is my studio room, so over here you can't see it, but that's my whole production setup, and I've got
Oh,
a
wow.
whole homemade vocal booth right here. And I mean, it is the only place I can spend all day. I'll be in
Yeah.
here alone with no phone for 12 hours and just
Oh, yeah.
happy as a
Yeah.
clam, experimenting and writing and playing parts, and it's like it's my happy space, and I'm totally with you. The undistracted work is the most fulfilling. And not only the most fulfilling, but you get the most done. And you're just like, yes,
You
this
do.
is what I'm here to do, you know?
And time, the concept of time disappears.
Hmm.
It's like we're looking at our watches, looking at the computer time, whatever. But it's like suddenly you don't even really know what time it is, and it doesn't matter
Hmm.
because you are so engaged and engrossed and consumed with the craft and the creativity that that's why I love it so much, because you're just on that level. And some I've had times when I've been writing music, and like you say, 7, 8 hours has gone. I haven't even eaten. I haven't
Yeah.
done. I've literally just been in there, and it's like then I crawl out
Yeah.
from that space.
Exactly. It's great. Let's talk about authenticity. I
Mm,
think I think that today is maybe the most important thing to
mm,
be staying true to online, because it's like you were talking about earlier. You can go for the shiny thing and try to get a quick cash grab, but A, that's not really being true to yourself, and that's not a sustainable thing mentally or probably success wise either,
mm.
like material success wise. Being authentic and creating good, valuable content authentically over a long period of time, from everything I've seen, seems like the best roadmap going forward. But I'd love to hear you talk about authenticity and its importance nowadays.
Yeah, well, I find that a lot of people try to be like someone else because they think, well, if they've made it, they've got more followers, they're doing really well, then I need to be like them to be okay. And I need to be like them to be accepted, because humans all want to be accepted.
Hmm.
We all want to believe that we have worth, but often we don't believe we have worth. We want people to tell us we have worth and show us we have worth, but we don't believe it. And so what we do is we then step into someone else's shoes and try and be like them. And the problem with that is that you only they can be a great them. You can only be a great you. You can try and be a great them, but there's already one of them. And so they're already there. We don't need another one of those. Now, of course, there's tips and techniques you can take from people that you can say, oh, they did that really good, really well. And I really like how they did that with their vocal. I really like that lyric they wrote or something. And I'd like to learn more about that side of the craft. Now, that's a good thing. But running away from yourself is running away from your true I would say your true calling, your true musical or creative calling, the true you that you know is inside. And if we keep running, we will never find that place where we feel happy inside. Because once you look outside, for something that's going to make you feel whole, you're never going to find it. And so at some point you have to come back within and say, okay, this is the person who I am, and I am good enough to be out there. Now, there's obviously the good enough technically and the good enough in terms of your worth. In terms of your worth, everyone is good enough. Okay, we're all good enough. We all have worth. We all have something. In terms of technically and professionally, well, that comes with learning your craft. That comes with learning your skill. So we have to separate those two, because just because you may not be, say, for example, brilliant at some aspect of performance, doesn't mean that you as yourself as a person isn't valid. Okay, you are valid. That's that's it. You're valid. But in terms of, I'll just say performance, for example, performance is a skill that needs to be learned. Now, some people will say, oh, I'm rubbish at performance. I love writing, or I love music, but I'm just crap at performance. And it's like, that's because you haven't learned the skill of performance. Once you learn the skill of performance, like if you learned the skill of drumming, the skill of singing, the skill of playing a saxophone, once you've learned the skill, you can apply that to you, the person who is worthy of getting on that stage and performing, and believing that you have something to give others, that you have something that is, I really stress that you have something that's unique, that your uniqueness is what makes you, is what makes you different. And I celebrate that with artists. I always say, find the thing that no one else has got. And capitalize on that, because that is the thing that's special about you. What is the point of all of us in this world, all of us here, if we're all trying to be the same? It's every single person is different, and that is your strength. That is your, what they say in sales, your USP, your unique selling point. It's a selling point because it's unique. And I think the more people believed in that, the more that they would start believing their worth and saying, okay, I have got something different. My voice is a little bit different. I do have this way of producing music. I do have a way of DJing that's a little bit different. I do have something that's just a little bit different or a little bit quirky. And it's like, there's always going to be people who like what you do, and there's always going to be people who don't. And we just need to get with that. And I remember a long time ago, and I was very, very precious about my music, like years and years and years ago in my 20s. And you want everyone to like what you do, and you want everyone, and I realized as I got older that what you put out there, some people will be drawn to and some people won't. But that isn't a criticism of you. It's just people have preference. Now, if you look at yourself, you have preference. I have preference. When I go into Spotify or on another, online music streaming platform, it's like I'll go on and I'll choose what my preference is in that moment. That doesn't mean I hate every other artist. It just means it's not my preference at that moment. Now, there might be some tunes that I don't particularly like. That isn't a reflection of the artist. It is just a reflection of the music that I'm not into. And that's fine. And we have to accept that if we are allowed preference, why aren't the audience, or why isn't our audience allowed a preference? Why do we think that everyone has to like us and love us, and if they don't, we're rubbish? Well, that's not true. It's just that we haven't connected yet with the people who will like us. I would always say to people, don't sort of tell everyone around you what you're doing at the moment, your latest project, because you're excited about it. Excuse me, you're excited about it, okay? And we know what it's like as an artist to get excited, I've just written 8 bars of a new track. It's like, I've just written this fantastic chorus. This chorus is brilliant. And the thing is, we're on that level, and we're in that moment. And that is actually, in a way, it connects a lot with that kind of deep flow moment of we're completely connected with where we are. Oh, I've got this brilliant chorus, or I've got this great. And if we go and tell someone, fair enough, tell people that you trust, but don't tell people that you don't trust. Now, the problem is the people that we want to be able to trust. They're not always the people we can trust. So we often go to them thinking, you know, I'm sure this time they're going to support me, because we want their support so much. So we go and tell them, guess what? I wrote this new track. I really think whatever it is. And they're like, all right, you're still writing. Oh, I thought you'd given all that up. Now, what happens? Bang, crash on the floor. Everything we think about our music ourselves, gone in that second. Now, excuse me, we have to, in a way, protect ourselves. And this isn't being precious. This is paying attention to what is right for us as artists and what actually is going to impact our confidence. Now, when you tell people that either are jealous of you, or who don't believe in you, or who don't want you to succeed. When you tell those people about things that you're going to do or that you're excited about, you know the people deep in your heart who are not going to support you, but you still go there. Do not go there. Don't do it. Because when I'm on a high with an idea, I want to stay on that high. For that moment while I'm cooking it. Now, if I'm the only cook in the kitchen and there aren't any other cooks around who are going to cook it with me, I'm just going to keep it to myself and cook. But don't give that recipe out to other people who are going to bring you down and say, I don't like that. Now, once you've got the work out or you've done it, tell who you want, because you've done it, right? But just remember that we have to protect ourselves and we have to protect our well-being. And if you are someone who gets very low, if someone says, oh, you know, why are you doing that? Why haven't you done this? Why aren't you doing that? How much money are you earning? How many followers have you got? Oh, well, you're not doing very well. If you're telling people like that all about everything you're doing, you are not going to move forward fast or in the way that you want to move forward, because their opinion is what you are going to take notice of rather than the excitement that you have for your craft. So you have to nurture that, really, really nurture that. I cannot stress it enough, because I've learned that the hard way. And what I do now is when I'm doing something, in fact, I don't really tell many people or hardly anyone actually when I'm doing something new, because I always have creative new projects on the go, always got something on the go. And I just leave those for me. I just keep building on in my head, because everything starts with imagination first. And so you've got to get that picture in your mind so clear that you believe that this can happen. And if you tell someone who's going to bring you down before you've even built the picture in your mind, that picture's not going to be there. Or it's not going to last. And so really think about what you are building. How are you going to get to that point and protect it at all costs?
That's great advice. And it's very relevant to me right now. I'm actually writing a monstrous original piece of music.
Oh, really?
Monstrous. And I'm like almost 30 songs into this massive project. And I have very much kept it for me and a couple people that I really trust. And I'll send a clip to my brother now and then, because he's someone I really trust and has a great creative brain and has really good things to say. And this person I'm co-writing parts of it with. But I mean, I've probably been writing for 800 to 1,000 hours over the last 8 or 9 months. And I'm not like, hey, here's my thing. Hey, check this out, check this out, check this out. Because so often I'm in this studio, like we were talking about a minute ago, and I'm so jazzed about what I'm writing. And you're absolutely right. When you're in that, you've just got to let it run and let it run and let it run as long as it goes. And so many beautiful things have come out of that. Whereas if I had taken a break and gotten on my phone and messaged someone in the middle of it, maybe that section doesn't turn out as wonderful as it did. You know? Yeah,
no, that's so true. It's you're protecting your creative space, you know, and it really is important. And can I turn the question back round on you? Yeah. What was it that made you do that? What was it, something that's happened before to you that has got you to protect that space, or is it just that you just had a feeling to do that?
So this piece I've seen some other artists in recent years do somewhat similar projects to what I'm doing.
Mm,
It's basically telling a story through music, maybe to be
mm,
performed live, but more as like a concept album. And so it's telling a story start to finish through music. And what I've seen people do is they'll start announcing the project right when they start it, or they might be a couple songs in. They say,
okay.
"Hey, I'm doing
Yes.
this project. Everyone come audition for it, yada, yada, yada."
Yeah.
And it so quickly goes from focusing on the music to focusing on the marketing and the branding and the popularity of it. And I said, when I do this project, I want to be 100% focused on the
Mm,
music
well done.
itself until
Mm,
that section's wrapped, and then you move into the next step
sure. Sure.
and
Yes.
shaking hands with the devil and going on social media and all that stuff, you know. But for now, it's just
Yeah.
I want to just write the best music I can and write it from a place like write the music I want to write. You know, write
Mm,
the songs the way I want to write them and the way I'm passionate about them, and then go into the next steps. And so that's been why
yeah.
I've been keeping it very much under wraps this whole, the last 9 months, basically.
That's brilliant.
Thank you.
That really is. It's very interesting. It's just, I am interested in hearing, like, why other
Yeah.
people do that, or what is it that's led them to that. It's very interesting. And also to show people who are listening that how important it is as a creative to do that, because you and me both, obviously done a lot of performing, a lot of recording, and we've both got to that place where it's like, you keep it precious, you know.
Absolutely. Let's get into some tactical advice because I know plenty of people listening will be interested in that. So if you
Yeah,
have
sure.
a young singer that or a young artist of some kind that comes to you and they're struggling to find that thing that makes them unique, or they're
Mm.
struggling to lean into it, what's kind of a starting conversation you have with them to kind of help them find that thing?
Well, I find it really important to nurture the person behind the performer. This is the whole way that I work, is to nurture that person, because the performer that goes on stage is a part of that person. Yeah. But the person who is behind the performer has all the things going on, whatever's going on in their life, what are all the troubles that are going on, everything. And then they've just got to step on stage and go, woohoo, I'm here. And it's really difficult for people because sometimes people find it really hard to tap into their performer self. And what I say to people is that we all have different facets of our personality. So, for example, if you're going for a job interview, say you're going for a job interview in an office, right? I know we're performers, but we have to do other work sometimes. So say, for example,
Hmm.
someone's going for a job interview in an office or for a shop or something like that. You are not going to take your performer self. You're going to be very different to how you are if you go out socially with your friends on a Friday night, or if you're at a family do, or if you go to a funeral, or if you go to a wedding. We bring different facets, different parts of our personality to this. Now, the problem is most people haven't developed their performer self. And what they do is they just come in any old how with all of their parts of personality and just kind of dump themselves on stage. And it's like, actually, you've developed a self for who you are when you go out with your friends. You've developed yourself for who you are when you go to an interview, for who you are when you do this, when you do that. But who are you when you step on that stage? And so what I do is first of all, I try and get to know a performer. It's like building up trust. People aren't going to break themselves down until they trust you. And I like to just get to know them and get on a level with them. I just like to, you might have a laugh, you might have a talk about something, you might have whatever it is, you might go deep quite quickly depending on how much that relationship is built within that time. And I often will ask them to perform something, but I won't do that straight away unless they want to, because that's the whole thing. Quite often they're feeling very vulnerable. They don't feel like they want to perform straight away. And so that's why I feel that it's really important to build up that connection. And then I will just really talk to them, because I talked to them because I worked in personal development as well, actually, during this whole 25, 30 years. I also did an 8-year stint while doing my music and everything else in the personal development field. And I was a facilitator and a coach there. And I really just try and encourage people. That's, for me, I want people to feel better about themselves once they've had some sort of communication with me, that they actually come out feeling like, I can do this. I'm okay. I'm enough. And so I do that by talking with them and by saying to them, okay, let's say, for example, you sing a song, and I get them to try and connect with that song, because quite often it's like someone's outside of the song when they're performing it, rather than singing it from within the song. I say to people, climb into the song and sing it from the inside out, rather than hanging around the outside of this song that you're not connecting with. Because someone will connect with a song in their bedroom, but once they get on stage, there's a complete disconnect because they're so worried about everything else. And so I try and say to them, try and connect with what you connect with when you are connected, whether that's in your bedroom, in your car, when you're writing the song, whether you're at rehearsal. Everyone's connected in different places. And then when you're actually on stage, try and get into that space again, because so many people are really good in rehearsals. I think we've all experienced this. Great in rehearsals, so confident. I love it. I'm with all my band. I've got all people around me. It's so fun. I'm so good. You know, everyone's going to love this. And we've got it all going on. And what we have got going on is that special something about us, that light that shines within. And we step on stage and that light goes out because we go into panic mode. No one's going to like me. Everyone's going to judge me. I might forget my lyrics. I might forget the music. And we just go into this panic mode. And what we don't focus on is we're not focusing on our connection with the music. But the other thing that we're not focusing on is our connection with our audience. And I always say to people, you have to flip your focus as a performer. The focus is on you in rehearsals, but the focus is on your audience once you're on stage. Now, the audience's focus is on you, but your focus is on the audience. And this is what's really, really important. But the thing is, if you don't feel confident enough on getting on stage, how are you going to do all of that stuff? So I go through all of these different things in my book, you know, as techniques to work on all of these things, because it takes a lot to build up to that. You know, some people will be so unconfident getting on stage when there's only 3 or 4 people in the audience. Now, we've all had that in our careers when there's hardly anyone somewhere. You know, one point we might have sung in a bar or something, and it's like, oh, no one's here, and so I don't put anything into it. Well, this is brilliant. This is your training ground. Aren't you lucky that actually you're not in a rehearsal room right now? You can practice all those things you couldn't practice before because you're actually in a real performance space. Not many people here. So it means, go on, try that eye contact. Try speaking in between a song. It's training grounds. So sometimes it's about putting yourself in difficult situations as a performer, but getting the most from them and seeing what you can learning as much as you can as you go along, not thinking that everyone's against you, everyone's looking at you, everyone's judging you, the thing is, everyone judges everyone. We walk out on the stage and we look at the audience, within a second we've judged them all. Oh, they're really friendly, or oh no, they're really hostile, or we all do it. Come on, we all do it. And we have to accept that this is what people do. But if you're going to be judged, you actually have control over how you're going to be judged. Because how do you walk out on that stage? If you are so worried about being judged as being unconfident and not knowing your lyrics and not being able to look at the audience, go out, look at the audience, know your lyrics, you see, it's like we worry about these things and we then create that situation for people to see in us. And so this is where the mindset comes in. Now, for me, if I'm doing, say, an album launch or something, I will usually start rehearsing 3 months before I even start rehearsals, 3 months with my mindset, rehearsing everything I need to do for my mindset. So one of the little techniques that I have is I'll get a little card, like a business card size, and I will write 5 things on it that I want to be, or I want to do, or what I want to happen at my gig. And it might be, so that it's kind of like affirmation. So it might be, I connect with the audience and the audience connects with me. we create a great energy in the venue, all of us together. I really enjoy this gig and the audience are enjoying it too. Whatever it is, what are the things that are most important to you that you want to get from this performance? And I write those down and I just repeat them to myself. You know, it might be lying in bed. It might be, you know, it might just come into my mind. Any time of the day, I might just think about it. But this is intentional stuff. This is intentional. It's not, oh, I'm just on autopilot. All negativity is going around my head. Look, we have to get to a point where we decide what our thoughts are going to be. Now, this to me was a real revelation when I found that you could decide your thoughts. And it was quite a long time ago now. But I remember when I didn't know that. I just thought your thoughts were thoughts. And what came in was there. And we just stayed with them, whatever they were. And then I realized after reading a lot of books and learning a lot about life, I can decide my thoughts. That's very empowering when you know you have a choice of what you think. So I have something in the book called Sushi Thoughts. And the reason I came up with that, because I think I was in a sushi restaurant or something one day, and I was thinking about the conveyor belt where all the food goes round and so all the nice little dishes. And when we're in a sushi restaurant, if anyone's been to a sushi restaurant, is that you obviously choose what it is that goes past that you like the look of. And you think, oh, I'll have that. I'll take that. Now, thoughts are on a conveyor belt in our mind, very much like a sushi restaurant. You've just got all these different thoughts going around in the conveyor belt to your mind. Some are positive, some are negative, some are good, some are bad, whatever. And what we do with when we're choosing food is we usually choose the food that looks nice and probably tastes nice. But quite often, when we're choosing thoughts, we'll choose some of the most negative thoughts we can, and we'll pick those, and we'll go, I'll have that off the conveyor belt, and I'll ruminate on that for hours, and I'm just thinking about that thought, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and that thought, if we think it enough, it becomes a belief, and once it becomes a belief in our subconscious, then we believe that that is true. And then that's when things really shift for us, but not in a good way, unless the thought is one that's going to make us better, is a thought that actually is going to enhance our lives, is going to enhance our experience. And then if it then embeds itself into our subconscious as a belief, that's great. But the problem is a lot of thoughts aren't great that we're thinking, and we believe them. And we believe so much that isn't true about ourselves. Now, this is why I do believe that, you know, affirmations are important. Some people say, I'm not into all that rubbish. I don't want to do that. And that's fine. You know, people do what's right for them. I can only offer what I have experienced myself and what I have seen work for people. And there's lots of different techniques that work for people. It's not just affirmations. There's so much to performance. But I know that this is one of them. I can, before a performance, say to myself, this is going to go really badly. I'm so worried about it. I know no one's going to like me. And I know I just don't remember what I'm going to do. I'm just so worried. I'm just crap at what I do. I'm just not good enough. I shouldn't even be on stage. Okay, so I could have that energy, or I could have, it's going to go great tonight. I'm going to really enjoy it. I'm so looking forward to it. I'm so looking forward to giving my all to the audience. I'm so lucky to have this opportunity. Wow. You know, now the two different energies, if you know, I'm sure you felt, what did you feel the difference with, Peter, yourself, when I said both of those things? How did you feel?
I felt like the second one had a lot more confidence. And like you were excited about what you're about to do, and you're excited about connecting with the audience. And the first one was you'd kind of already lost the battle before going out there, where you've decided it's not going to be a good performance, and you've decided that they're not gonna like you, and that's of course going to inform the energy you bring to that performance.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Yes, really is. It really is. And you're telling yourself how something's going to go. So if we can tell ourselves negatively how something's going to go, why can't we tell ourselves something positively? Now, it's not about that thing. It's not just about, if you're all positive all the time, everything's all right. Everyone, you know, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that there's thoughts and things we can say to ourselves that are actually going to make us feel better, not worse. And which one do you want to choose? I mean, that's what it boils down to. You can choose, I'm going to be rubbish. It's all going to be wrong. Or you can choose, I'm going to do the best that I can do with what I've got. because that's all we can do. And if you go and do the best you can do with what you've got, you are going to do a lot better than someone who just believes they're not going to do well at all. And that's the thing. It's like, what are you going to choose? Choose what is going to enhance you and your performance.
Yeah. So it sounds like the key for maybe finding that thing that makes you special, and the key for getting on stage is already having that foundation of confidence and security in yourself, and having that mindset as you go out there. And then once that is established, a lot of these other beautiful things can come from that place. But it's hard to make those good things come from a place that's, not confident and has a lot of self-doubt. It's hard to make those beautiful results come from, a difficult foundation, right?
Yeah. Well, which is why we have to say things to ourselves, even if we don't believe them. Say good things or positive things to ourselves, even if we don't believe them. Because if we wait until we are confident, that confidence is never going to come, because you don't get confidence from not doing or taking action. You get confidence from doing the things that scare you, taking action, and repetition. And once you've repeated something enough times, you start to become confident in it. And so it's doing things, and that's what I mean about choosing the thought. It's like, you might not believe it now, but there was a time when you were young when you didn't believe that you were not a very good performer. You didn't even have those thoughts in your head, but you told yourself enough times that you believe it. So why can't you tell yourselves enough times that you are going to be a good performer? Because it's going to give you more chance. And then do the work as well to become a good performer by the practice that you do, by the books that you read, or listen to, or by the videos that you watch. Do all the things that you need as well, because it's not just what you tell yourself, it's everything you do as well around that.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's I love the idea. You have to marry the thoughts that you're bringing to it with actions that you're also taking, right? You
absolutely
can't just sit back and do nothing. Like you have to put in the work as well.
I mean, mental visualization is good. So, you've probably heard of it, but for people who haven't, mental visualization and mental imagery is so, for example, the most powerful time you can do this is just when you're falling asleep at night or waking up in the morning. And what you do is, you don't just imagine that that's happening, what you want. Say, for example, a really good performance. Say, for example, you've got a gig on Saturday night and you've got a band and you're going to be playing for like 1,000 people. Now, what you do is you actually get in the space of being in that. So when I'm lying there thinking with my eyes closed, I'm actually at the gig. I'm in it. I'm performing. I'm feeling the energy from the crowd. I'm enjoying myself. I'm loving the energy from the band. The music sounds great. It all sounds great. This is going so well. And not only am I imagining it, I am feeling it. It is happening. Because if you think about it, everything in front of you now, apart from if it's sort of nature like a tree or a plant, but every other thing has been made from someone's imagination. So if you look at, I've got a mug in front of me, I've got my phone in front of me, I've got my interface there, I've got my speakers. All of those things, someone lay in bed at night thinking about, they thought about those things, thought. And at some point, they came into reality because they took the action then after the thought to get those things out there. Now, when I wrote my book, I do this with all my albums actually, I always design the cover first, because to me it means, okay, I can see it now. And I do it purposely. I can see it. I can imagine it. Now, I know you've got with the music, all the music to make in between. I know with the book, all the writing you've got to do in between, the real hard work. But because I can imagine the cover, then I can imagine it on the bookshelves or on the online store or on Spotify or on Apple Music or wherever it is. Because what it does then is I go into my space and I shut my eyes and I believe that my album's out there and I've got lots of listens, or I've got, or people have read my book, or people can see. And when I feel that I'm a bit stuck, say I'm never stuck in terms of ideas for my writing or for my songwriting or anything. It's more the personal blocks. It might be
Hmm.
procrastination. It might be actually really having to sit down and get a certain part finished by the end of the week or something. When I've got a block like that and I'm finding it really hard, I look out into the bigger picture of, okay, end result. End result is it's going to be in one of the shops or it's going to be on one of
Hmm.
the stores or whatever. And that then pulls that towards me and draws me in. And then it actually gets it, it starts happening. It starts happening. I sit down, I write, I get, it's one step closer. And it's that thing because it's very easy to stop. We have these cycles, and the first part of the cycle is really easy because it's excitement. It's like, right, I'm going to start writing. I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to start making that. And then suddenly we stop when it gets to the hard work of, oh, I've got to finish that. Oh, that's not so fun. Right, I'll start another tune. I mean, we've all done that. I've got thousands of tunes.
Yeah.
But it's like, how many of those are finished? How many of those are released? Well, only the ones that you push through the real hard parts of just yourself, facing yourself, of this is hard sitting down now.
Hmm.
And actually, I remember there was a track I wrote for one of my albums, and I used to do the silly thing of, I don't know why I do it, but I do know. It's like you get carried away, start writing a track, and then I haven't set up everything properly. So I do kind of like just a rough vocal, and I do a rough vocal, I sing it through, and then I think, oh, I've got harmony, record the harmony. Then I do the next harmony, but all without a pop shield, nothing,
Uh-huh.
and then I'm realizing, oh my God, it's really good. I want this. Oh no, I'm going to have to record it all again. And there was this one track that I did 20 vocal parts for, but I hadn't recorded it properly. And the thought of going back and having to re-record all those 20 parts, I don't know why I did that, all those 20 parts, because I knew now I have to record the 20 because I know what it sounds
Mhm.
like.
Yeah.
And it's that, I'm sorry, we've gone right off topic, but
It's okay.
yeah. So yeah, I've kind of just gone off topic, but
No, that's great. I totally. It's really hard to feel like we have to redo something that you were already really happy with, at least some part of it. I've had that with project, or maybe you lose a file or something. And you're like, I've got to remake
oh
that awesome thing that I spent 6 or 8 hours on or whatever.
yeah,
And it's tough. It is
yeah,
tough to get back in there and try to recreate it. And it's often a little different. And that's like another thing you have to accept, right?
yeah,
The
yeah,
sample you were
absolutely.
using you might not be able to find that sample again, or how you set up a synth design or something might be a little different, you
But
know.
sometimes you do get something better come
Yeah.
afterwards. Sometimes you do, and sometimes through mistakes. I've done things where I've recorded. I was doing a remix for someone, and I picked up. I was basically, when I do remixes, I don't use the original music at all. I take all the music out and just use the vocal. And there was a part of this woman's vocal that I thought, I don't need that right now. So I picked it up and I just sort of chucked it to the right over there.
Hmm.
And then when it was playing through this track, this vocal suddenly came in at this place. And I went, that sounds brilliant. And it was just because I just sort of moved it aside. But I was like, okay, so many things can
That's
come that
awesome.
are unexpected. Yeah.
Yeah, a little happy accident there. I want to
Yeah.
touch on a couple other things in our last few minutes, and it's okay with
Sure.
me if we go a little bit over.
Yeah,
That's
I'm okay with that. I get carried away and I just talk.
Yeah. I feel like we could have a very long conversation.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about perfectionism and just
Mm,
get your thoughts on perfectionism and your advice to young artists that are dealing with that. Because that's another thing due to social media where we're looking at
yeah.
all this perfectly manicured stuff. There
Yeah.
is this pressure we put on ourselves to be
Yeah.
perfect, which of course doesn't
Yes.
really exist. But I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
The thing with perfectionism is we're setting achievable yet unachievable goals. And what I mean by that is they're achievable in the sense that we know we could do it. If we put all our might into it, we could actually do it. So we believe,
Mm,
yeah, they're achievable. So I'm going to set that goal, but they're unachievable because we set the bar too high for that moment of where we are. So it's not that
mm,
you can't do something, it's you've set yourself such a huge task that it's going to be quite hard to do it. And because it's so hard, that's more likely to stop you from finishing it or doing what you want. So I always say to people, the sun coming in. I haven't even got the blind closed and it's still coming in. So I say to people, you got to lower the bar. And they're like, well, why do I have to lower the bar? It's like, I don't want to, I want to go high. I said, yeah, but if you lower the bar, it's easier to get over. And when you get over the first bar, or the first hurdle, and you've got over it, that builds your confidence. So then you set the bar a little bit higher and you go, oh, I did it. And each time you set it, it's telling your subconscious that I'm able to do this. If you set the bar too high and you don't hit it, then you tell yourself, I'm not good enough. I'm not able to do it. And so then you're more likely not to try to do something again. Mm-hmm. So lower the bar, realize that you can do the thing you want to do, but you've just got to realize that you might have to do it in smaller chunks. It's like, walking up Everest or mountaineering. It's like they don't even just go up straight away. They go at the base camp and they set camps along the way and they stop at each of them and acclimatize and then go to the next bit. And we can learn something from that because that's what we need to do. And perfectionism, it's something that it really holds us back. It's because we believe we're setting these targets for ourselves all the time that are actually really not helping us in what we're doing. And that actually everything's got to be perfect that we do. I can't release that song now because I know I can get a better bass sound. And it's like, well, okay, so now 6 months has gone past. Have you found your bass sound now? Oh no, but the drums don't sound good enough. Now, the thing is, what I learned is you have to do something good enough and you do it well. But if you're aiming for perfection, you will probably never finish a lot of things. I would rather, I know that I could probably look back on every album that I've done and gone, there's something that now I would improve on or do something differently. But those are out there now, they're done. If I want to do something different, I want to improve on it. That's taught me that skill now, so I'll do it now for my next album. And it's that thing of being able to let go. I think a lot of perfectionism, it's worse now for people because they think the world is watching. Mm-hmm. And I hate to break it to people, but most people are only watching themselves a lot of the time in terms of if you put out a track, if you've never put out a track before, it's very unlikely you're going to have 1 million people listening to it. Right? You're actually going to struggle to find 100. Mm-hmm. Realistically, if you put it on Spotify, you're going to struggle because that's not because you're not good enough, but it's just because of how it is. And so the thing is, it's like, put it out there, get it out, because if you get your track out, you're going to feel a little bit more confident just about the releasing process, just about getting a track out. And as I say, get it out to a good standard. I'm not saying to drop your standards. But if you're going to spend, you've got to ask yourself, is perfectionism, is that becoming my excuse for not finishing? Because I think it is sometimes. I think it's people's excuse because it's like, I've got to get it perfect, got to get it perfect, got to get it perfect. But actually that just means that I can tell everyone I'm doing the work. I can tell everyone I've got a release coming. I can tell everyone I'm writing an album, but I'm not going to finish it because I don't believe that I'm good enough. But I can get away with it because I'm just telling everyone that, I'm just trying to find a better bass sound, or I have
a quote that perfectly relates to this. I heard this on, there's a podcast called the Modern Wisdom Podcast. And one of the hosts said that perfectionism can be procrastination masquerading as quality control.
Ah, yes. That's great.
Isn't that great?
That is great. Yes. It really is. Yeah, right? Similar sort of thing. It really is. Yeah. And there's all these excuses we make to ourselves as creatives because, I have to acknowledge it's a massive thing being able to put your creativity out there because it's a part of ourselves. This isn't just, when we do so, if you work in a factory for someone else and you produce goods that are from that factory that someone else has invented, you do it and you put them out there. You're not really bothered about them. This is something from you that you made from nowhere, right? I mean, it's like magic.
Yeah.
It's magic. You have created something and you're putting it out there into the world, and it is scary. It is scary. But don't be scared. This is such a gift to be able to share what you have with the world. And if the world can't meet you part way, that's not your fault. You still give your gift. You share your gift. You do what you need to do. Actually, underneath it all, it's not about the numbers. It's not about the followers. It's about you and your connection to your craft. That's what it's about. And it's about, if you're thinking always about the followers and everything else, all the other things around the music or the craft, whatever it is, you're not connecting. And so I'd strip that back and I'd start thinking about, what is it that I need to do to connect to my music? When I write my song or when I do this, what am I thinking about? What is it for? Who is it for? Am I doing it because of my love of my craft? Or am I doing it to see the numbers go up? And it's, we spoke about it in the beginning, it's a difficult one, but stay connected to you. Don't disconnect from yourself. Because this is happening at an alarming rate right now. Artists are disconnecting from themselves all over the place. Not only artists, people are disconnecting from themselves. And those things that we hold in our hands for 90% of the day are part of the problem, a big part of the problem.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, they're here now and you can't uninvent the wheel. So you have to deal with how we're going to use this to help us rather than hinder us,
Yeah, fantastic. What are some other, just in our last few minutes, some other, heavy hitting tips you might give to someone who's embarking on a musical journey, a young fledgling of an artist?
I would say, don't lose that love for your craft, because it's really easy in this industry to get disillusioned, disheartened, disjointed, and abandon yourself, abandon what's important to you because of everything, all the noise that's going around. So if you can turn that volume down and keep that love for your craft. And it's not easy. It's not. I've had times when it's like, it's kind of like this inner war with yourself, with your craft, because it's like, or I've had times when I've, not had any money, or I've had to go and do a job I didn't want to do, or I had to go, and all these things. And I understand that life is tough and that we have to do many things as creatives. It isn't always for everyone that you can just create and actually that's provided me a living and that's done this and that. No, we have kids to look after. We have to go to work. We have to do this. We have to do that. But I ask you to carve a little space out for yourself where you can connect and keep that love with that craft and look after that, because that's really, really important. Really important. I've got a little bit about comfort zone from my book I'd like to read. Is that okay?
Please.
It's just a little paragraph.
Of course. Go for it.
Actually, I don't know if the book will show up here, actually. There you go. Sort of The Art of Live
I'll
Performance.
be sure to have
Unlocked.
a link and everything in the description.
So this is about stepping out of your comfort zone. So we have 3 zones in which we reside and fluctuate between. These are our comfort zone, our uncomfortable zone, and our progression or growth zone. A comfort zone is a paradox because it's a place where comfort and discomfort coexist. It's easy to stay in, yet difficult to be in. It feels safe, yet quietly suffocates our potential for growth. It's a place where we long for more, but inevitably do less and less. It's a constant reminder of where we are, but it's not necessarily where we want to be. It reflects back to us who we are, but not who we aspire to become. So that is the start of that chapter. There's a whole chapter on it. And I think
absolutely right on.
I think that stepping out of our comfort zone into who we are, because when we're putting stuff out there, it is coming out of our comfort zone, isn't it? But if we stay in our comfort zone, we're not going to be happy either. So you've got to decide which are you going to be unhappy with, something that is temporary, that actually, if you get to the uncomfortable part and you move through it, it will be gone? Or are you going to stay uncomfortable forever?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. This reminds me of another thing from Modern Wisdom. It's a great podcast. You'd probably really enjoy it.
I've heard of it, actually.
Yeah.
I've actually heard of it, and I probably have listened to it. I know as soon as you said it, I thought, yeah, I know that podcast.
It's really wonderful. And sometimes, multiple times, this will come up where people will want to be exceptional at something, but they'll be doing the same thing that everybody else is doing. And you have to think, if you want to be exceptional, then you have to be an exception, and you have to approach things differently, and you have to take that jump and know that some people are going to be like, well, what are you doing? Why aren't you doing it this way or that way? Yes. And then you've got to you've got to guide, you've got to kind of find your own path if you truly want to be exceptional in whatever, you're going after.
Absolutely. I think the other thing I'd say is to become aware of what you really think about yourself, what you really think about your music, about what you are, what you need work on, because it's very easy as a performer to say, I think I mentioned it at the beginning, I'm just rubbish at everything. Oh, I just can't perform. I'm great in the studio, but I can't perform. Well, actually, you can probably do lots of things in your performance that are good, but you just seeing it overall as I just can't perform. And so really becoming aware of actually what it is you do need to work on, because you won't need to work on everything. Just look at what you do, because that's the problem. We get so negative. It's like, oh, I just can't do it. And that's it. Be really defeatist. I just can't do it. And it's like, well, that's not helping anyone, because you're being, you're not being constructive. You're being critical. And I always say, it's in my book, you can be constructive or critical. And if you're constructive, what it does is that helps you to actually make a change and do something that's going to benefit you. But if you're being critical, all you're doing is putting yourself down, and you're not going to move forwards. And so that's no good. So we need to really become aware of what we need to do, and be constructive with what we're going to do, and then get on and do it. Because the thing is, when we're critical, we're like, oh, I just don't want to do it. I'm not going to do it. And that's it.
Yeah.
But when we're constructive, we go, okay, I need to do that, and that. And I'm just going to go and do it. Yeah. And it makes things a lot easier when you see it like that, rather than just putting yourself down.
Yeah. At some point, you really have to do the thing to get better at the thing.
Listen, there's no escaping it. And that is the thing. There's no, like, some people, when I used to work at this university, well, it was like it was performance college, but it was a university. And we used to have the performers on the stage, and then I used to give feedback and everything. But what would happen is they would like just look at other people and say, oh, I don't want to go up today. And it's like, no, go up today. And it's like, no, when I'm more confident, I'll go up. And it's like, you're only going to get less confident seeing people and not going up. Because what it's doing is, again, telling your subconscious that I'm too afraid to go up. So every time you come to the class, you're too afraid, and you're even more afraid. The only way you're going to get over that is to get up, but also with what I used to do is I didn't ever think that it was good to just put someone on stage in an environment that terrified them. What you have to do is give them some mindset techniques. So when they get on stage, then they feel a little bit better about it. And then they also start to build up their confidence, because they've got up, they've done it, and then they can get up again.
Truly. Fantastic. Well, Lucie, this has been an absolute pleasure. Where can people keep up with you?
So I'm on Instagram as Lucie Burns Performance Coach, and I'm on where else am I? TikTok, Lucie Burns.
Wonderful website as well. I was looking at it.
Yeah. So I've got lucieburns.com, Lucie, Lucie, and I've got a Stage Ready Artist, which is my performance coaching website. So stagereadyartist.com, and my book is called The Art of Live Performance Unlocked. And that can be found sort of everywhere, Amazon. Fantastic. And all the online kind of stores, as well as my website as well.
Wonderful.
So, yeah. And also my music, Lazy Hammock, is on all the download, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, wherever. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, this has been a real joy, and thanks for coming on. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, Peter.
I appreciate your work as well, and I will keep Andy up to date on all things release related.
Fantastic. That's great.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much.
Okay.
And
All right. Thanks a lot then, Peter. It's been great speaking to you.
likewise, I hope you get some new students in your performance
Oh,
course.
thank you.
I think you could really help a lot of young artists.
Oh, thank you so much.
Of
And lovely
course.
to talk to you. Okay,
Likewise.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I hope you guys enjoyed that wonderful and transformative conversation with Lucie Burns. If you did, check out this conversation with Simona Simons from the symphonic metal group Epica, because she is what an all-star competent performer looks like. Come on, check it out right here. Simona Simons, she's awesome.